Right, hello, welcome to another video. I think we're on day 8 now. This video has no relevance on our current situation. Just let me say that and get that out there straight away. I don't condone anybody that's thinking about bugging out. This video has come out of someone asking me a question on one of my previous videos. So the question came from Smoggy Nal, and it reads, "Hi Andy, I'm looking at making a bug out bag survival kit, but I'm new to survival. Can you recommend products literally from bag to first aid kit? He's starting from scratch. Like most people, I would like to keep it as cost effective as possible." So that was the question, and that's what this video is going to be all about. So before we get started on me explaining things, for anybody that doesn't know, a bug out bag, the term bug out bag and the term bugging out has come out of the prepping community. Bugging out is where things have got so bad that you think that your life is in danger of being where you are. So you bug out to a location. The bug out bag is just a bag of gear that will help you survive, overcome the situation for as long as need be. Now, before I start talking about what I would bug out with, there's quite a few questions that you need to consider. So quite a few years ago, I used to be a prepper myself, and I soon came to the realization that it doesn't matter how much I stockpile, when that stuff runs out, I'm still going to need to bug out. So that's why I'm looking at this from a bushcrafter's perspective. It's okay stockpiling stuff, but once it's gone, you know. I would imagine that a lot of preppers in the situation we're in now, a lot of them that are what we call bugging in preppers, have, you know, bought all the toilet rolls before they got wiped off the shelves in the shop. They've got tinned food, they've got dry foods, they've got it all stockpiled somewhere. They've got bottles of water. Now, a prepper wouldn't just go out and buy the little bottles, they'd buy like gallon drums of water, or stockpile up on purification tablets, you know, on candles just in case there were power cuts, on power generators and all kinds of things. So it's a huge subject to get into, and this video is not about that. It's just about this question, and I'm going to answer that question, but from a bushcrafter's perspective. So first of all, before you even think about getting a bag together, is where you're going to bug out to, where your location. I don't like the word bug out. I like the word evacuate. So where are you going to evacuate to? Is it going to be the woods? How many people are going with you? Is it your family? Maybe it's the wife that's prepping, and she's got a husband and children, 2 dogs and a cat. You know, you've got to think about these things, because it's not just you at the end of the day. It's easy for me because I'm single, I can just go. But for a family unit, everybody's going to have to have their own kit. What about the area you live? I live in a small seaside town. There's probably about 18,000 people live here. So what happens if all them other people are going to do the same thing? They want to get out of Dodge. They want to go to the, you know, up the hills and in the woods and what have you. Your location is soon going to be compromised. So I wouldn't suggest having one location, have many locations. I don't even have a location, and we'll get onto the reason why later on. Next, consider what skills you've got. Have you got leadership skills? Just because you're the strongest and you know where you're going and you've got all the gear, doesn't mean to say you're your strongest leader. A strong leader would put the weakest person at the front. They're going to set the pace. It's no good you going bombing off. You're nice, strong and fit when you've got a 6-year-old kid in the group as well that's right at the back, you know, and not as quick as you. Put them at the front. That way they can set the pace. Just take their own time, set the pace, and then the stronger ones at the back, going up in range of strength. So you want the very strongest at the back, the weakest at the front. It's common sense. Have you got first aid skills? Have you got the ability to, let's say, do the Heimlich manoeuvre? Do you know CPR? Do you know how to, you know, dress a wound? You need that kind of knowledge as well, and this is throughout my channel. You'll see it, you know, you see it on the splash screen when I first do a video. Knowledge weighs nothing. The more knowledge you've got, the less you need to carry on your back. You don't need to carry a first aid manual if you've got it already up here. You don't need to carry a wild edibles identification book if you've already got it up here. So have you got the ability to navigate? There's no point in putting a map and compass in your bag if you don't know how to use them properly. In bushcraft, you know, if I'm going in my local area, which I know pretty well, I'd say a good 7 mile radius from, you know, from like a centre point of I've got a good range, a good knowledge of my area. I wouldn't need a map. And if I was going into an area after that, in bushcraft we use what's called backstoppers. So if you've got a mental image, of which I have, of a larger area just than what I know about the map, if I've gone to a river, that's my backstop. I've gone too far, I need to come back a bit and then pick up the trail from there. Have you got the skill sets to hunt, trap and fish? Have you got a kit for that in your bag? Wild edible identification, do you know the basic ones? The way I look at wild edibles is I look at them like people. If you know someone well, you'll be able to recognise them, whether they change the hat, have a haircut, grow a beard, put a scarf on or change their clothes. You'll still be able to identify them. Now, although wild edible plants change over the season, once you know them, you know them. And another thing is, just a quick one just off subject, is I compare my wild edible greens with coffee, because everything in nature is more bitter than what you buy from the shop. So let's say for example a dandelion leaf, if you ate it raw, that would to me would be like a black coffee with no sugar, whereas a strawberry to me would be a milky tea with 4 sugars. So that's my bitterness sweetness kind of scale that I work to. So moving swiftly on, the basics of survival. What do we need? 3 things: food, shelter and water. There's a rule of 3s in survival. 3 minutes without air, you die. 3 days without water, you die. 3 weeks without food, you die, roughly. I know people fast and they go for a few weeks without eating, but they prepare in advance for it. So we need food, water, shelter. And we have them things every day. The food we buy from the shop and put in our cupboards, the water's in the tap and the shelter's the house that we live in. So we've already got it, we've already got the basics. Everything else is just on top, everything else is just a luxury. So that covers the first part of this video. The next part I'll go through what I'm wearing, what I would take. Basically it'd be my camping, my bushcraft gear. And we'll look a little bit deeper into this subject. Right, so like I said, I usually wouldn't be wearing my shorts, but I'd have trousers with pockets in, and I'd be wearing this most probably, and I'd have other pockets in a rain jacket, that kind of thing. So the first thing we need to think about is our person. Let me take this hat off because it's getting a bit warm now. Whew. So obviously I've got pockets, so let's have a look what I've got in my pockets. I've got a first aid kit. Might go into that in a little bit more detail, you know, later in the video. But you don't need a big bag to put it in. Just use bags that are waterproof. So that's first aid kit. Along with the first aid kit, I've got some gloves. You will notice there's no scissors in there for me to cut plasters or band-aids or anything like that. I've got scissors in my main kit. So that's that one empty. Next one, just a bit of rope. Them 2 shouldn't be in there, but it doesn't matter if they are. Head net. Obviously, hot weather, keep them mozzies off your face. Also makes a great bag for getting wild edibles, greens. Keeps them a little bit fresher. Many uses, filter your water, that kind of thing. Pair of pocket billows. Blow through the thick end, into the fire with the thin end. Direct your breath to get your embers going, blowing life into a flame. Next, pair of gloves. If you're going to be out in the wilds chopping wood up, chopping trees up, that kind of thing, protect your hands. It's all easy stuff, guys. It is all easy stuff. Next is my tobacco. I don't condone that, by the way. Right, next we'll go into torches. So I've got the Petzl Tikka torch. Brilliant little torch, had it for years. Used to be a rock climber. This is what I used to use for night climbing. Comes with its own whistle. AAA batteries, 3 settings. You're not going to see it because it's light. Once it's been lit up, there's a glow ring, so if you leave it on the floor, at least you can find it. And it's also got a red LED that you can switch onto to maintain your night vision. So I like that. Next of all, we've got the which is this one, the Olight IFT EOS. I haven't done a review on this yet, but simple, click on, click off. Another torch that takes AAAs. Both of these take AAA batteries. So there we've got 3 spare AAA batteries. Usually all that stuff is usually with me anyway, regardless if I'm wearing this or not. It's usually crammed in one of my pockets somewhere. Spare battery for the camera, we don't need that. And a lighter, not because just I'm a smoker. You'll probably find that I've got a spare one somewhere as well. There we go, spare lighter. And last but not least, my house keys. That's just a shed key. My house keys, nothing special on there. Usually I do have a thermometer on here, but I think it's over there somewhere. Another little torch. Again, AAA batteries. So as you've seen, I've got a bushcraft belt, and I'm going to go through each individual component with you now. So the first thing on the belt is this pouch, which is Molly press stud pouch, which contains my water bottle. 600ml water bottle, fresh water in here. This is the type which you don't have to tip up, you can just have a drink straight like that. Easy, self-explanatory, don't need to go into any more detail with that. Next of all, this isn't actually a Bushcraft Essentials bit of kit in here, it's just a bag that I keep it in. Water purification. It's alright saying, yeah, well, I can boil water and purify my water that way, but on a day like today when it's absolutely roasting, you might want to get the water out of the stream. So for those that don't know, you've got a straw on it, you drink through that end, you take directly from source, so you can have a quick drink on the go. And then obviously you have a bag, you can fill the bag up, transport water in the bag, put that on there and drink as normal out of there. Next thing on the belt is this little pouch. In here we've got some cooking oil, some salt, some firelighting, 2 hexamine blocks, 2.5 hexamine blocks, cotton wool pad with wax on it, hot chocolate, and in there we have 2 titanium pots that we can cook with, boil water with, etc, etc. I'm going to whiz through this quite quickly because all the neighbours are coming out now. Nice, beautiful day today. Next of all, this is one of my handmade ferrocerium rods, deer antler handle on it. This is a giant ferrocerium rod. This will keep you going for a long time. Obviously no striker with it, but I've got strikers in the other bag, namely an axe or my knife. And last of all, we've got this little pouch. Basically all this is, it's just a spare bag. We've got some cotton wool pads which have got wax in them, handmade. There's a video on my channel about how to make them. And then a little vial of magnesium. You can start fires even in the wet with this stuff. So that is part of my, let's call it, evacuation kit. So I could also put the Bushcraft Essentials. This is the titanium LF stove. You've seen that on previous videos, so that could also go on the belt if I needed it to, but it is quite heavy. So the last few bits of kit I wanted to talk about that you didn't see me pulling out the bag. More water, aluminium carry more container, a litre of water in there, as well as 600 millilitres on my belt system. You can boil water in this. I am going to be, in the future at some point, I'm going to be making a cradle for this so that you can handle it when it's hot. Yeah, carry gloves, but these ones that I carry with me normally are rubber, so that's just going to melt on something like that. So we need a system where we can actually pour this out. So that's something I'm going to be looking at in the future. Decent axe, if you can carry one. Basically what you're looking for is an axe, a knife and a saw. Cutting tools. If you're going to be in the wilds, you need to make yourself a shelter or a frame for your tarp. Like today I've used 2 old walking sticks for my branches, but out in the wilds I'd obviously be using branches. Saw to cut the branches, or an axe to cut the branch down with, knife to trim it up. Don't forget, you can always use your knife. If you just want to take a knife, it's a hammer, and it's also a knife as well if it's sharp enough. This is a hewing axe, it's very slender. This means that I can turn a round piece of wood into a square beam if I need to. So yeah, a small axe or hatchet. Backhoe Laplander saw, fairly standard bit of kit in the bushcraft community, or you can actually get a little bit better make than this, in my opinion, a silky saw. I'll be purchasing one of them in the future because this one's just about blunt now. Frying pan, obviously, for obvious reasons. Obviously I've got in here, got the pot grabber. So did this on yesterday's video. That's my my kit for utensils. The only thing that I've added in here since yesterday is the Grizzly Bushcraft knife. Nice little pocket knife, good for whittling things down with. You know, a cruxer knife for making cookers out of, and spoons and all that kind of dishes, bowls, that kind of thing. A little bit of handy kit to have. And the other is just what was on the video yesterday. All the other stuff is just what was on the video yesterday. So for a second I'm going to turn my attention to knives. Now, if I was to bug out, evacuate, call it what you will, I want a knife I can rely on. I've had this knife for ages. It is the Gerber Winchester Bowie knife. The reason I've got a Bowie knife is because I wanted a large knife to be able to hack my way through the woods if need be. I didn't want something as big as a machete. This is like a knife, obviously, like this one, but it's got enough clout in it to be able to trim branches down and all that kind of thing. I've actually, this is called the Spanish notch. I've done a review on this knife as well. This is called the Spanish notch. And it will work with a ferro rod, and also the back side, the back of the knife, or the spine, that will work with a fire rod as well, or the ferrocerium rod, should I say. So yeah, good reliable knife. Would be nice to take a smaller knife out and disregard this. Then I've got the axe to do the work of what that would do. But this knife is, I've done reviews on this, and when I first got it, yeah, it was an unboxing, it wasn't a real review. Fallen out with it, it's got a couple of issues. One of them is that the other day I actually bent the blade, so any blade that bends, I don't want to use that and put my life on it in a survival situation. That's not good enough. I need things to do their job. I need things to work for me. And also the rivets, they're not actually rivets, they're actually screws, do become loose on this. So if that was a thicker blade and not a concave blade as it is, would be a perfect bushcraft knife. A little bit more about this knife a bit later on. The last thing I'm going to have to bring you a bit closer for. Right, so the actual tin, yes, is from Polymorph Products. It's a sealable, it's got a sealable rim in it. I've got problems with this. I would like to use it as a frying pan, but I can't get this seal out of it to use it as a frying pan because it's a plastic kind of seal. I would prefer rubber, but yeah, you can boil water in it. Right, let's delve a little bit deeper into here. So in here I've got, this is a survival card. This is the Joe Vogel one from Bushcraft Essentials. I've not done a review on this yet, so just let's say there's a survival card in there, a few other bits and pieces like this. This is from Bushcraft Essentials. So we've got arrowheads. I have done videos on using these and reviewing these this card in the past. I'll put a link in the description. So obviously in there we've got some cordage and some tiger twine and things like that as well, and there's also some hot melt glue in there. I'll put that back in a second. So the card that I just showed you, the first one, are these cards, JV survival cards from Bushcraft Essentials. I'll leave a link in the description where you can get these from. This is still in the packet because I'm intending to do a video on this in the future. Again, to do with hunting and trapping. There is a playlist on my channel if you want to have a look at videos to do with this kind of thing. Next of all, beautiful day to practice this with is a magnifying glass, obviously secondary fire starter. There you go. I'm not going to leave it there too long, but you do that and you'll soon have a fire going. Some tiger twine, good lengths of it there, and I'm not going to get this out, but in here, and I've actually put what the contents are in here. We've got some magnesium, a small ferro rod, an OXO cube, fishing kit, cordage and twine, what's that, water purification tablets times 11 litres, so 11 litres of water purification tablets. We've got a small flannel that you add water to and it becomes larger. We've got some trapping wire in there, we've got some wax twine, and we've got a proper signalling mirror. So that's all sealed up in there. I'm not going to open that. So you can see with this little kit alone, with what I've got, I'm pretty, I could sustain myself with the knowledge I already have for quite some time. Right, so you've seen the kit that I've got. The only other bit of kit that I change out every now and then is the Polish Lviv. That would be just too heavy for me to carry. I don't drive, so I'm not going to go miles and miles and miles. When you're bugging out, you stick to places that you know, stick to areas that you know, stick to areas where you know there's a water source like a river or a spring, where there's some kind of shade, shelter, woodlands, that kind of thing. But don't forget, you're not going to be the only one, so you've got to be ready to protect what you have that's on your back, on your person. The thing is, I could lose everything, but they can't take what's up here. And let's just say I was to get murdered for whatever reason because someone stabbed me because they wanted my bag. If that comes, then that's game over anyway. But if they was to take everything, knowledge weighs nothing. So always have that in mind. The less kit you need to take, the better off you are. Right. There's one major thing that I've missed out of my kit today, and I wonder if anybody can guess what it is. So we think back to what I said at the beginning, the basics of survival. Shelter, got that. Obviously you want to be comfortable as well. I wouldn't recommend just taking a tarp. In the middle of winter, you're going to freeze your knackers off, probably get hypothermia and die. Get a decent sleeping bag. This is a 3-season sleeping bag. This is the DD Hammocks Dura 2 sleeping bag. But with a sleeping bag liner in there, take it up to 4 seasons easily. I've been into 0 degrees with this bag, no problems at all. Yeah, so we've got shelter, we've got a bit of comfort, got water, a way of purifying it either by boiling it or using the tablets that I've got, or using the Soya Mini water filtration system. Food is the one I've left out. Food is inherently heavy. Pound for pound, water is the heaviest, and then pretty much after that is food. especially wet food, tinned food, stuff that's, you know, MRE, ready to eat meals. All that is kind of heavy stuff. So you add another, let's say you're going for a week, add a week's food on top of what you've already got, you're probably getting up to 30 kilos straight away, no messing. So this is all in your plan, your bug out plan. I myself, I've got food at certain areas, not just in one area, not just one food cache. I've got caches all over the area where I live, and not even the area where I live, some other areas as well. But I'm not going to give anything away on this video. Maybe later in the future I'll show you how I make my caches up of food. There's in a couple of them, there's a little bit of first aid, there's a couple of fire lighters in there as well. Very basic stuff, but mainly food, because that's what you're going to be struggling for. Like I say, you've got your wild edibles, you identify, learn your wild edibles. One big one, guys and girls, is if you don't know what it is or you're unsure, don't eat it. Right, one other thing, obviously, I mean, I would love it. Living out in the wilderness, I would absolutely love it. I would thrive on it. One thing to remember is mental attitude. You've got to have a willingness to survive. After about 3-4 weeks, you might be thinking, this is too much. Especially if it's kind of a very, how can I put this mildly? Not Hiroshima style, not that kind of thing, but if you've had to witness some quite horrific things on the way to your bug out, then, and you know, and you realise, you know, it could be the end of civilization kind of thing. After about 3 weeks on you being on your own, your mind's going to start messing around with you. So anyway, there's one more thing I just want to discuss. I'm going to digress. Communication. You need some way of knowing what's going on in the outside world, even in, you know, might be the case might be that you're bugging out and it may only be a week or so, but you still want to know what's going on in the world. So get yourself an amateur radio license. One of these little radios also has commercial radio stations on it. I've done videos in the past on this. Also has commercial radio stations, so you'll be able to get news reports, weather reports, shipping forecast on Radio 4. If you can understand it, I listen to it, I understand it. You can get that on here, as well as talk to other people. SHTF communications. Right, so I've waffled on enough on this video. That's just my point of view, what I would do looking from a bushcrafter's kind of perspective with the knowledge I have. Like I say, my slogan is knowledge weighs nothing. The more you can carry in your head, the less you carry on your back. I'm just going to have a relaxing day for the rest of the day. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe. Click the subscribe button down there, or click my little deer on the corner of the video. That'll help you subscribe as well. Give me thumbs up. If you're going to give me thumbs down, get out in the garden. It's really nice weather at the moment. One last thing before I actually leave you. This is the ideal time of year to get outside and see Venus. We had a pink moon the other night. I was out here for that. Tried to photo it, but didn't quite work. And Venus, which is like, it's a very, very bright star. That's how it appears. There'll be no other stars in the sky. Around about 8 o'clock-ish, it'll start coming up off the horizon, and you can see it then. So keep a lookout for that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to leave you to it. I'll see you all in the next video tomorrow. See you later, guys. Thanks for watching.